Just another one, IGN, Lords of the Fallen. Which starting class should you pick?
Before you start exploring the dual realms,
It's right around the corner.
In Hexworks' dark fantasy Souls-like, you'll need to overcome an obstacle more challenging than any boss fight. Which character class to play as?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you want to be a spell-slinging agent of the light? A brutish barbarian with an axe? Or a sinister pyromancer? With 9 base options to pick from,
9
plus 4
base
more that can be
options.
unlocked for additional playthroughs,
Jesus.
there's quite a few ways to play through this challenging action RPG. So here are our recommendations.
Take at your
for
own
which class
risk,
you
The
should play
Condemned?
in
Whoa.
Lords of the Fallen.
What? I want to see that. Travis again, our boy Travis.
First up is the Hallowed Knight, the classic warrior class that mixes physical strength with
Yeah.
radiant magic, Lord of the Fallen's
Okay.
generic good guy magic
Yeah.
that focuses on healing and buffs. If you're
Alright.
looking for a good old
This is like a
sword
base,
and board
yeah.
class with just enough magic to keep you alive, this is the way to go.
Yep. Base build right here, this
The
guy.
Hallowed Knight starts off with a decent short sword, a medium shield, and some holy grenades to lob at your enemies. You'll also get some decent consumable healing items, though interestingly, you don't get a catalyst for casting spells or any radiance abilities off the bat, so you'll need to find those later in your journey.
Okay.
We did our first playthrough with this class, and it's extremely reliable,
Wow.
since the Knight can do high damage and is decently good at everything except mobility. But with a giant shield and stamina to spare, who needs mobility
Yeah,
anyway?
for real. I mean, that's good.
Do you like charging into battle with a two-handed sword the
Not
size
really.
of a child? If so, then look no further than the Udarangir Warwolf.
The Warwolf.
This berserker starts off with a long sword, some throwing axes, and a few consumables to light your weapon on fire for even greater DPS.
Nice.
This class makes use of light armor, so you can close distance quickly and lay the beat down on the enemy before they have a chance to strike back. With a high strength attribute, no shield, and low armor, this is the high-risk, high-reward playstyle likely to be favored by fearless speedrunners.
Speedrunners. Wow.
If you're having trouble deciding which direction to go with your character,
Partisan.
Partisan might be for you, since it's the most well-rounded
Yeah,
class
that is a
in the game.
well-rounded. Holy crap,
You won't
everything
find
is
any
straight
magic
up.
abilities, but with a decent flail as their starting melee weapon, a sturdy shield for defense, and a crossbow for ranged damage,
Nice.
this jack of all trades can do a little bit of everything.
I think I might start with him.
They also have a few consumable berries that increase stamina regeneration. This one's a great pick if you're still learning the ropes and want to keep your options open to develop your build down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
You know those moments in every Souls game where you go to swing your sword only for it to bounce off the side of
Yes.
a wall and deal 0 damage?
Yes.
Well, if you absolutely can't stand that happening, might I recommend the Mornstead
No.
Infantry. This class
spear
comes with
class?
a spear that's perfect
No.
for stabbing enemies in tight hallways and avoiding those pesky corners. Plus, he's got a small shield,
Short
and
javelin,
sharpenable
or a
javelins
shot
to
javelin.
deal with enemies
Shot
at a
javelin,
distance.
Jesus.
And he starts with a powerful one-time use healing item that can get you out of a jam early in the adventure. This class prioritizes mobility and speed over strength, so it's a great choice if you tend to dodge a lot, but like to have the option to block if you get yourself into a pickle.
Okay, he's not too bad. Yeah, that seems alright.
Remember Bloodborne? Clearly the developers worked
Never got to play it. It's on
hard to do.
PlayStation.
This class looks like they just got off the bus from Yarnum and comes equipped with a trusty axe, a small shield, and bows and arrows, making them quite versatile. Plus, since their stats are fairly evenly distributed, you can always pick a different
that's
path
alright.
with your build later on and keep the cool armor. Importantly, this class also comes loaded with a couple ammunition pouches, which allow you to regain additional arrows without having to rest at a checkpoint. This comes in handy early in the adventure, when you don't have access to vendors, especially if you prefer to keep your distance from the enemy.
Okay. He seems alright. Advanced starter classes.
The Exiled Stalker is the first advanced
Of
class,
advanced
which is designed for
class.
veterans to the Souls-like genre in search of a more challenging build crafting experience.
Okay.
This one is a dual-wielding dex build with the lightest of light armor and no defense to speak of.
I like
You need
that.
to master the art of the dodge roll to survive. The Stalker comes equipped with lacerating knives that apply bleed damage from a distance and poison salts that imbue one's weapon with poisonous attacks. And that's because this class is intended for those who want to build into applying status effects to their foes.
Oh, I don't know about
Later
status
on, you'll gain
effects.
access to fast-moving melee weapons that can apply status effects on their own,
Yeah.
with various salts
I would
and
like that,
spells
yeah.
to aid in the effort. Understanding and building into status effects is definitely a more involved process than most of these classes, so it's definitely an advanced class for a reason. But it can be extremely rewarding to apply poison and bleed to an enemy, then dodge roll away and watch them slowly perish.
Yeah, I like that.
The Orion Preacher is the second advanced class and also the first magic-focused class.
Yeah,
of the
super
bunch.
magic. Look at the
He comes
radiance.
with a
Holy crap,
decent hammer
18.
that applies holy damage and scales with your radiant
Rank
magic
10.
stat. But most of the damage you'll deal will likely come from using radiant spells, like Radiant Flare.
Your
or
radiant starts
holy
at
attack that you
18.
start out with and can cast using your Orion Preacher
That's crazy.
Catalyst.
88 damage off rip.
If you're backed into a corner, you also have a fairly weak shield to fall back upon, but generally speaking, you're going to want to keep your distance and make use of your dodge roll. Thankfully, you do start out with a decent stack of small mana stone clusters, which will refill your limited pools of mana when you run out. That will come in a lot of handy early on, before you gain unlimited access to these consumables via vendors. Playing a pure magic class can be challenging, since it requires juggling mana and learning spells.
Yeah.
But we honestly don't think this one is hard to learn, so don't
No,
be
it doesn't
intimidated by
look
the
that
advanced label.
hard, to
You
be
gain
honest.
access to plenty of radiant spells to add to your repertoire early on, so you won't have to rely on your single ability for very long. And the wide variety of buff and damage options make this a pretty fun class to play, especially with friends. The Pyric Cultist is the token fire-throwing class.
Of course,
in Lords of the Fallen,
Pyromaster.
and frankly, one of the coolest
Pyromaster.
looking classes you could pick.
Pyromancer,
It starts out with a
Pyromaster.
staff that scales with Inferno, which will be your primary magic
Yeah.
stat. But most of your DPS will come from the Infernal Orb Fireball attack you start out with,
Holy
cast
crap.
using your Pyric Cultist Catalyst.
We're not
You
doing
don't have
that
a
again, though.
shield or much defense from your armor, so you're going to need to dance around the enemy attacks and rely on your terrible
Wait, that's
fire
78
attack to
versus
win
the
day.
Divine, which says 88? That's crazy. I definitely
The
want to
Preacher,
learn
this
fire.
class definitely warrants the advanced label, primarily because your access to other Inferno abilities is pretty limited for the vast majority of the adventure, meaning you're likely to rely on the Infernal Orb for quite a long time before
Yeah.
you gain access to other abilities to support your class. That can be a bit of a pain early on,
Yeah.
although the starting orb is honestly not too bad.
Doesn't look
This
bad.
class also starts with some small mana stone clusters, so you should have plenty of fuel for your wicked fires.
It looks nice, though. I mean, I won't use them.
Standard starting class is the
Pick at your own
a meme of a
risk.
starting class with 9 points in every stat, making them essentially a blank slate with no strengths at the outset.
Damn.
You start with a literal broken bucket as your only weapon,
What?
ability to throw rocks. Frankly, everything about this class is intentionally terrible, but the upside is that you can build up the class however you like, with no pre-assigned points getting in the way of your vision for the character. If you recall the Deprived class from Dark Souls, this is the same kind of deal.
Oh,
It might
no.
be rough going at the beginning, but there's nothing wrong with picking this class if you know what you're doing. Plus, you can tell all your friends that you played Lords of the Fallen the real way, and be real.
The real way.
So I see this as an absolute win.
That's pretty cool. Unlockable
In
starter
addition
class.
to the 9 standard starting classes, Lords of the Fallen has 4 secret classes, all of which can
Hey, what's up, Luna?
unlocked by completing specific quests during your adventure. The Dark Crusader, a strength-based paladin class, is the only one players can choose for their first playthrough if they bought the deluxe edition of the game, but it can also be unlocked by everyone who completes the optional quest for it to be used in later playthroughs.
Huh.
Since they weren't intended to be used for the first playthrough, all 4 of these secret classes start off notably stronger than the rest of the pack,
Really?
Dark Crusader included. So you should definitely choose this one if you're a deluxe edition owner who wants to start off with a significant leg up. Plus, They dress you up like the Witch King from The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I see
which
that.
is pretty dope.
Pretty dope.
Although your friends might judge you for using the premium
Yeah,
class,
probably.
so maybe don't pick this one if you don't want to open yourself up to trash talk.
Yeah, for real.
The Dark Crusader starts off with a powerful longsword, a higher character level, some throwable radiant explosives, heavy armor, and most notably, an amulet called the Paladin's Pendant, which increases your strength and endurance beyond your current level.
What?
It's a pretty nice package to start with.
It is.
The other 3 secret classes are unlocked by reaching each of the 3 endings.
The Radiant
to Lords of the
Purifier.
Fallen,
Damn.
including the Radiant Purifier, which is basically just a more powerful version of the Orion Preacher
Yeah.
that starts off with a whopping 3 radiant spells and other advantages.
180 off
But these
rip.
will only benefit you if you plan on playing a whole lot more playthroughs of the campaign, or if you're just a collection freak like yours truly.
That's pretty cool.
And there you have it. Those are our recommendations for which class you should choose in Lords of the Fallen. Which one do you think you'll be picking?
I don't know.
For more, check out
I'm
our
leaning
top tips
more-
for playing Lords of the Fallen.
I'm leaning more towards what is it? The base guy. This guy, I believe. The base guy. And then there's this one right here, which I can't remember what it's called. The Partisan. The Partisan or the Knight. Yeah. Got to be one of those. Maybe the Pyric, but honestly, if I do the Pyric, I still want to work on my weapon, so that might not happen. And if I'm feeling absolutely insane, I'll do the Condemned. I might put it to a vote, like a poll. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Huh? Tell me. That was it, though. Lords of the Fallen, which starter class should you pick?